This morning when I was praying for my just space up here and how to do the welcome, I actually received something from Jesus this morning. I don't usually with the welcome, and I pray about the welcome because that's actually the most awkward part for me in the morning is going from here to here. And what I really felt like he wanted to say from the get-go is that someone here, and maybe more than one someone, needs to know that you're wanted here. You need to hear that this morning. You're wanted here. Your life really matters, and it matters to us. It matters to me. And I'm glad that you're here. It's good to be with you. It's good to be with all of you. It's wonderful because the fact that we are all made in the image of God, that we all help each other see who God is. And every single one of us in this room is the joy of Jesus. And that's good to be together. This morning, and for the next 3 mornings, 2, I guess it'll be just 2 after this morning, are going to be a little different than our normal Sunday. The order's going to change up a little bit. When I come to something that I'm usually used to it being a certain way and there's change, it throws me off and I have a hard time staying present. So for those of you who are like that, I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of how the morning will be different so that you're able to just settle and join in the morning. So I'm going to start off by reading Psalm 139, which is the title of our series, is 139. I'm going to read the whole psalm. During that time, you're just going to be sitting, maybe using some of the things we learned in the Did You Catch That series and just trying to catch maybe what God is saying to you this morning as you listen. And then I'm going to open us up in prayer. And then I'm going to share a little bit about why we're mixing things up. Then I'm going to lead us through some reflection around the scripture. And then we're going to have the worship team come up and we're going to have only one song before we move into prayer ministry. And that's really the greatest change in the morning. There's just going to be one song before prayer ministry. And then we'll have that time to pray, and then we'll continue with the rest of the worship. So worship's going to be the same length. It's just going to be in a different order, okay? All right. Okay. I am going to be reading from the Berean Standard Bible, which I don't have a hard copy of, so this is my prop copy because I really do like having a hard one. So I made a printout version because I don't like reading from my phone. But you are welcome to open your own Bibles if you want to follow along with your own translations. And you are also very welcome to sit and listen and really do. Just try to catch what God maybe is saying to you this morning. Psalm 139. For the choir master, a psalm of David. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You understand my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down. You are aware of all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, you know all about it, O Lord. You hem me in behind and before. You have laid your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go to escape your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle by the farthest sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness is not dark to you. But the night shines like the day, for darkness is as light to you. For you formed me in my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and I know this very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All my days were written in your book and ordained for me before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is their sum. If I were to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. And when I awake, I am still with you. O God, that you would slay the wicked away from me, you bloodthirsty men who speak of you deceitfully. Your enemies take your name in vain. Do I not hate those who hate you, Lord, and detest those who rise against you? I hate them with perfect hatred. I count them as my enemies. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my concerns. See if there is any way offensive in me. Lead me in the way everlasting. So every week we send out a weekly BCC email. If you didn't know that, we do. It's in your inbox somewhere. And we like to give like a blurb for the series every time. And for this series, 139, we wrote this as our first sentence describing 139. In the midst of our busy and chaotic world, God is inviting us to take a breath. That first half of that sentence, in the midst of our busy and chaotic world, I think is pretty self-explanatory, yes? Like, give me some nods. If you can say, I think I know what busy and chaotic world is, yeah? We can feel that. Even if our lives have become maybe less busy than they used to, they're often even filled up with more things we care deeply about, the more people that we need to pray for, the more situations that we need to pray for, the things that we're seeing happening in our neighborhoods, in our schools, in our workplaces, and then in the broader world, right? There is so much that we can say that is busy and chaotic. But the second half of the sentence, God is inviting us to take a breath, might be a little less obvious. Most of us know how to breathe already and do a lot of breathing without thinking about it, right? It just kind of happens. So what did we mean by that? What did we sense God meant to us by that phrase, inviting us to take a breath? And when we were working on this, and I was trying to what does that mean to me? What would I say would describe or give a picture of that feeling? And what came to my mind is when I work in the yard. I really like gardening, particularly around flowers. And even though it takes a lot of effort and sweat and cuts and scrapes and all these things that happen, I really love the fruit of it, right? All the pretty flowers that bloom. And when I've spent a day really, really working and I'm sore and I'm tired and I stop and I get a glass of cold water and I sit down somewhere nearby where I've just worked. And as soon as I sit, I will involuntarily sigh. That's the moment. That's what we feel like God is inviting us to, that moment of that sigh. An interesting thing about sighing and the sigh is that it sets off a lot of things in our bodies. It just automatically causes a bunch of things to happen. And I'm not going to go into the details, but what it impacts is it impacts us physically. A bunch of things happen just physically. Physiologically is the technical word. But it also impacts our emotional systems, our emotional regulation systems, our mood. And the sigh also impacts our cognitive systems, our ability to focus and pay attention. So the sigh is pretty remarkable function that our body does. But there's something interesting about the involuntary sigh, right? Because we can choose to sigh, and then there's the sighs that just happen. And the interesting thing about the involuntary sigh is one of the things that triggers us to sigh is transition. So, going from activity to rest, we will sigh. When we're going from the moment of wakefulness just before we fall asleep, we will sigh. From when you're super surprised and excited and then you kind of calm down to the happy calm, you'll sigh. Hearing relieving news, we'll sigh. And I have noticed in all my years of praying for people that at the start of praying, people almost always sigh. And this reminds me of when I was really young. I used to love the children's books that came with cassette tapes. They were called read-along stories. And there would be the pictures and the words were all there, but you would put your cassette tape in and you would hit play to listen to, and you could follow along in the book. And how you knew to follow along in the book, if you didn't know how to read, or even if you did know how to read and you were preferring to look at the pictures, is that the voice on the cassette tape when you would hit play would say, "Oh, welcome, this is the story. Whenever you hear this sound," and then it'd be like, "Ping, turn the page." And you're like, "Okay." And then the person would start reading, and they would go, and you could either be reading along or looking at pictures or doing whatever, and you would hear ping, and you would know it's time to turn the page. The sigh is basically our body's cue to the time to turn the page. I would say the sigh is the sound of a moment of change. A moment of transitioning from one thing to another, one feeling to another, one state to another. We sigh. Some recent page turnings that I have heard just from some of you here in this community in the last month or so. Changing schools, work promotions, death of a loved one, beginning counseling, ending counseling, moving homes, making a new friend, making a team at school, starting college, sending your child to college, loss of a job, new medications, new teeth, new injuries. And of course, collectively, we've experienced the retirement of our founding pastor. So it's a very big collective change that we've had. And before that, we've had this change that is continuing to be the change of the way that we're learning to be a shared discernment community together and operating that way. That is an ongoing change. And that's just with us in this room. There's so much change in the world, and there's so much change going on in your lives that I don't know about. So that's what this next 3 weeks are for. We just want to hold some space. We feel God inviting us to hold some space to just acknowledge all of these turning pages happening, all of these changes happening, all the flux happening around us, and to take a moment to breathe or to sigh, and to really intentionally seek and look for God, who is never changing, who is always the same, and is always with us. So, for the rest of the time this morning, I'm going to hold the space by focusing in on just the first 10 verses of the psalm. Okay? And as I hold the space, I'm going to give some things for you to consider doing or not doing. They are truly suggestions. You do not have to do any of the things I'm offering as a way to engage. Okay? You may be having a different conversation or a different moment with God than what I'm offering or what that's happening to everyone else in the room, and that is okay. We are all different people walking all sorts of different things out, and if something is different that doesn't feel like it matches the moment or the mood, that is okay for you to be in that place. Okay? So as I read verses 1 through 10, I'm going to take a breath at the end of each verse. And I would like to offer you to join me in taking that breath. Again, it's an offer. You don't have to. But I would encourage you to do so. You can keep your eyes open or closed, whatever allows you to focus or to pay attention or to give you space to catch what God is speaking to you. I'm going to hold some silence at the end of the verses. If silence makes you uncomfortable, that's okay. But I will talk again. It may feel long for some and short for others. And then I'm going to ask us some reflection questions, some things for us to hold with God. So if writing helps you to reflect, you are welcome to write during that time. And if you'd like to do all your reflecting in your mind, that is okay too. What I would invite you to do is whether it's writing or drawing or in your head or putting on your phone, is that you would direct those thoughts toward God, that you would aim those thoughts towards God. And you can aim your thoughts towards God, even if you're not sure he hears you, how that works, or if he's even real. You can just kind of try to aim them toward him, all right? So you can still participate that way. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and settle in a way that's comfortable for you so that you don't have to move around a lot during the reflecting. So whatever place in your body that feels good to sit, legs crossed, feet down, whatever. And I want you to take one breath. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You understand my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down. You are aware of all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, you know all about it, O Lord. You hem me in behind and before. You have laid your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go to escape your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle by the farthest sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. And then let's take a breath together. You hem me in behind and before. You have laid your hand upon me. I want you to think of a person in your life who you feel supported, strengthened, and encouraged by, specifically because you have a sense they have your back. You know they have your back. So think of that person. With that person in mind, if you knew that they were how God was demonstrating his encircling protection of you, how would you respond? If you knew that person was how God was demonstrating his encircling protection and care of you, how would you respond? How would you respond to God or to them? Would you think about it and direct those thoughts towards God? Let's take a breath together. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle by the farthest sea, even there your hand will guide me, your right hand will hold me fast. I invite you to think of an area in your life right now where choices, either ones that you face now or ones that you've already made, have opened you, made you aware of, helped you notice your need to know that God is holding you securely. So with those choices that you're facing or that you've already made, what would help you experience God's guiding hand in that area? What would help you go from a place to where you know it's something that you've been told, you know it's a thought, to an actual experience of God's guiding hand? What would help you to feel in a real way that God is guiding you in that area? And then ask Him for that. Ask Him for that help. And for some of you, it's harder to be in touch with what you need, to know what you need, to even feel comfortable expressing need. So if you aren't sure what you would need, or maybe the choice is so big you're not sure what you could possibly need, you can ask God to meet the need you cannot name, knowing that He already knows. You can just ask, meet that, what I don't know I need. So I want to make sure that everyone knows you have a lot of permission right now to do what feels like would allow you to keep the conversation going you're already having with God. For some of you, that conversation will lead to wanting to sing out loud and stand and worship. For others of you, you want to stay seated or maybe even get on your knees. For others of you, you're aware that you need rest, and so you'll sit in your rest and you won't really be actively doing anything. All those are appropriate ways to respond. Just keep that conversation going.